Drugs are a growing problem in prisons across Georgia. The contraband is making its way behind bars with the help of those on the outside. Now, local authorities say criminals are getting creative, using drones more and more to make those contraband drops. This morning, I take a deep dive into the dangerous deliveries at the Washington State Prison.
These drones, they're bigger, they got more functions, and their technology is so much better than when it started out that it's easier, I think, for them to use drones than having to go back to resort to the older way of having to get contraband in these facilities.
Washington County Sheriff Joel Cochran says for the past 4 years, his deputies have been dealing with drones dropping off contraband to inmates.
People are just coming from all over the state.
The sheriff calls these people criminals. Though his office is working to catch those criminals, it's not the Washington County Jail where these contraband drops are happening. It's the Washington State Prison.
Well, just last year, we intercepted 21 attempts to get into the facility. We arrested over 45 people, 43, 45 people, somewhere in that ballpark.
In the first 3 months of this year, Cochran says they've made 5 interceptions and 11 arrests. The Georgia Attorney General's office says right now, prisons are seeing an uptick in drone drops.
Drones dropping contraband into prisons isn't just the Shawshank Redemption. They're not dropping in pictures of pretty girls and chess sets. They're dropping in cell phones and drugs.
They say those items put prison staff, other inmates, and sometimes even the public in danger.
Cell phones aren't just so they can talk to people on the outside and catch up about Sunday sports games. They're using them to facilitate trafficking in drugs, trafficking in children, murders on the outside, gang activity. And it's a really big problem.
How big of a problem? Deputy Attorney General John Fowler says last year, 150 drones and 15,000 cell phones were seized from Georgia's prisons. Responding to our open records request, the Georgia Department of Corrections says between January 1st, 2023 and December 31st of 2024, it reported 449 drone-related arrests, 774 drone sightings at or near state prisons, and of those, 720 were contraband related. To give you some perspective, Washington County Lieutenant Deputy Daryl Ussery says the drones criminals are using aren't toys, but instead industrial-sized devices that can carry 30 to 50 pounds. He describes the contraband that's dropped as large packages.
Usually they'll have a package attached to the drone with a drop mechanism. Some of those are very creative.
Deputy Ussery patrols the Washington State Prison at night and has spotted some of those drones himself, collecting knives and even guns on multiple occasions.
They can have everything from drugs, cell phones, cell phone chargers, cords, those boxes, ear pods, everything, snacks, edible gummies. If it'll fit inside a package, they'll just about take it into prison.
With drones being used more frequently, Ussery is now a certified pilot, skilled in the operation and regulation of the same drones he's capturing.
There are restricted airspaces around the prison, around airports, jail, sheriff's office.
Along with restricted airspace, in 2019, Governor Brian Kemp signed Senate Bill 6, which prohibits the use of unmanned aircraft systems like drones, to deliver or attempt to deliver contraband to a place of incarceration. But law enforcement, like the Georgia Attorney General, doesn't just want drone usage around prisons to be illegal. They want it to be impossible.
What would help us even more stop them is if we could jam cell phone technology around the prison.
And though they're pushing for legislation to make that possible, the Federal Communications Commission doesn't allow cell phone jamming technology at state prisons. According to the FCC, cell phone jammers aren't allowed because they could prevent citizens living around the prisons from making emergency calls. An FCC spokesperson told WGXA that while Congress is considering adding changes to the law, the commission is working with states like Georgia to begin other wireless disabling technologies.
Decrease the demand for cell phones in prisons, the drones will be used less. That's just natural the way it is. It's just supply and demand.
Until the demand disappears, Sheriff Joel Cochran and his deputies are working in partnership with the Department of Corrections to put a stop to the drops, even though it's a heavy load for them to carry.
Because it is a burden. It's a burden on any community. It has to have resources devoted to just deal with this, but it's gotten so far out of control, you got to do something.
Reporting from Washington County, Brittany Miller, WGXA News.